before we get into it, I'm going to show off my new branded shirts. So here's the logo, as you can see, nice and pretty. I'm put on the right sleeve so when you're swinging down the line, everybody behind you can see it. So be sure to look for those here before long. So now let's get into it. So we're going to continue our series on what the perfect workout is, the perfect warm-up. So that way, you know, before you get onto the course, you have all your muscles primed up, ready to go, and you're swinging your best swing, feeling strong, powerful, mobile, stable, you name it. Everything that's going to, you know, get you your lowest scores and be the most functional golfer you can be. So I have a new theory right now, and you can see it a lot inside the golf world about how these golfers are warming up. So this might already be a, you know, theory, but I haven't seen anybody put it necessarily pen to paper. So every warm up needs a full body, coordinated, compound, and explosive movement inside of it. So that way, when you're warming up, it's not just, you know, single muscle, whether that be your legs, your arm, bicep, neck muscle. If we're singling on one movement, then that one movement is going to be great. But as we know, golf is more than just one muscle moving. It's compound, complex, very coordinated. It involves your eyes, wrists, shoulders, knees, elbows, toes. Everything starts from the ground up, and we just got to make sure we're covering all our bases. So this was a 30-minute exercise I did not too long ago, the other day. But we're going to focus on this 20-minute warm-up. So I call it 20-minute warm-up for control. So we're going to do, and before I get into exactly what I did, I will upload a full video that's about 2 minutes long. Maybe I can break it down into less than 90 seconds of every single one of these, and we'll call that maybe not the perfect golf warm-up, but a very compound, multiple joint, muscle, everything is incorporated. So that way, you know, like I said, we're proving this theory true. So, you know, what I did with that is shoulder, controlled, articular ranges of motion. All right. So I like those, you know, get the shoulders, obviously. And then airplanes with a single leg. That's what the SL means. So essentially what we're doing with that is we're letting the hips open on a one rotating axis, which would be left leg and right leg. And obviously we're keeping a stable core, and along with that stable core is going to be control. So as we all know, if that control is not there with the hips, you know, so, you know, when you're going through the downswing, it's really your left leg that's, you know, pulling through, and that's why the left hip is one of the most damaged or most injured body parts in a golfer. So that's what I like to warm up there for the hips. And, you know, like I said, it's single leg. All right, and then wrist pronation with your arm at 90 degrees. So that's just, you know, just getting the wrist warmed up, you know. The wrist is something not a lot of people are going to think about, you know. It's like, I'm going to grab the club and we're going to hit it, and, you know, my wrist is going to. But oftentimes you will see golfers, you know, whether they're, you know, whether or not we say the wrist is warmed up, it's still that whole forearm, but, you know, they're blocking it, you know, they're keeping those wrists too tight, you know, and not letting the ball flush through, and you're not releasing the club properly. So that there works on release of the club, which I'll just go ahead and put release of club. So that way, you know, you're, you know, rotating your wrist. All right, and then after that, do a straight leg deadlift with an 18-pound kettlebell, you know. So that's more so getting the hamstrings, you know, getting the extension, flexion, okay, of the hips. Pretty simple. Sword pulls with the band. So I like to put that on my foot, and we're just raising the, I almost said bar. This isn't Verizon or T-Mobile, whoever the hell did that. But the sword pulls are really going to help with that external and internal ranges of motion, okay? So act like you're pulling a sword out of its sheath, and you get the picture. So your thumb's almost down, and then your thumb's out. So we're working on internal and external rotation there, which, as everybody knows, here's the golf swing. Internal, external, okay, all right. And then, obviously your lead arm is the same thing, coming through, obviously it's above my head so the camera can see it. So that's another good one. And then a pull-push landmine press, push-pull. So that's, starting from the ground up. I have several videos of that one, I believe, already. And as we keep going through this series, you'll find more of these exercises on the videos down below. So check some of those out. But with landmine, pull press, push pull, whatever you call it, it really helps get that whole pattern. So you're going from the ground and you're going up, going from the ground, going up. So I really like that one. So this is just one example of an exercise or a warm-up routine that I did before I played the other day. I played pretty well. I shot an 81, and that's with a triple and a double on the first 2 holes. So yeah, if that explains a lot, then yeah, the score speaks for itself. So besides that, though, I'll just go ahead and cover the 30-minute high-intensity interval training that I did. So I think I did 4 sets of this. We'll just put times 4. Before we get to that, with this, I would just do 2 sets of on each one. I would do like 2 sets. Golly, I'm still on the 2 sets of 6 to 8 on each one of these. The wrist, you could probably do more than that just because it's the wrist. It's not going to get as fatigued as easily. But especially the weighted ones, you don't want to be using all your energy, your glycogen storage on your warm-up, but you definitely want to get those muscles primed and ready, fired to go. So that's what I focused on that one right there. Obviously this one and this one are weighted, and then the other ones, are basically just body weight. So you really don't have to go through a heavy weight routine. You probably don't need to. That needs to be for your set training days, so that way you can differentiate warming up and trying to build muscle, build all your core foundation. All right, but anyway, so let's go to the HIIT routine. So I literally did this in 30 minutes. I had 30 minutes to work out, so I was like, all right, let's do something really quick. If you ever do want to do something quick, just do a HIIT. Don't take more than 60 seconds between your sets. Maybe 90 seconds. Okay, I'll say 90 seconds. I'll take, that's a minute and a half. You do that, 4 times, and that's only 6 minutes you're resting. So that really is kind of a long time with 30 minutes, but it's realistic. So it's really only 24 minutes. But, sled push pull, I should down and back 40 yards, so that's about 40 yards. On that one, I'm really focusing on pulling it, pretty strong, pretty stout, and then pushing it fast. So that way you're getting the heart rate up, and that's covering your aerobic exercise, which they're all do. And then I do about 15 kettlebell swings. Those are easy. 15 kettlebell swings take maybe 20 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. And then this is the Golf Forever. Remember, not gluten-free, not girlfriend. So that's a lunge to push with the bar overhead. I'll post a video of me doing that for too long. And then I just did deadlift 75 pounds 8 times. So none of this is heavyweight. With this one, I did maybe 95 pounds. So nothing too crazy. And kettlebell swings, that's 35. And then Golf Forever stick, that's, very, it's medium band, so it's nothing bad, nothing crazy. But it's a good, getting a lot of reps in, especially when you do it on both sides. So that's honestly the one that takes the longest. Then when we do the deadlifts, 8 reps ain't gonna take you that long. And that's just really working on form, doing repetitions, 8 times 4, that's 32. So just 32 reps of deadlift, which is not a lot, but it's enough to, build a little bit of back muscle, keep it, maintain it. A lot of people trying to lift 75 pounds from the ground will hurt their back. So it's just a maintenance exercise. This is just something to, burn some calories, get the muscles flowing, keep you healthy. So that was an early in the week routine I did. Like I said, I only had 30 minutes, so there are no excuses for working out or not. So give these a try. Let me know what you think in the comments, and that way we can keep you strong, keep you on the course, and have you playing the best golf you ever played. Cheers.